There's one thing that I realize about this life is that this reality in whole another level is something that no one can predict the future. Like if there will be a lot of people out there would say things like, okay, this is what this world is going to be the next 10 years, the next 3 years, all that stuff. I myself have said couple of times, have said something like that a couple of times, and I see myself someone who can see the timelines, and I know for sure the timelines that I see is really is different than anyone else see out there, because it's just my personal view. It was from my all holistic overview of what I embody, what I want to achieve, and all that stuff. And that's just my personal view. But we come up with like 100 people, and we are building a different and newer, a brand new version of this reality. It will be much different than my version, because then who is this people? What they come, what are the things that they come with? And the things that they bring to the table is the reality, the belief, the experience, the momentum, all this trajectory to the future that they are going to live, that eventually create the sense of reality that we all experience. Now, that is only from the human perspective. If we come up with something that, okay, there will be aliens coming up, really, in real life, from other people and from this reality and all that stuff, and they're going to come forward with this agenda of like, we want to be known, we want to help you, we want to support your existence and all that stuff. Now that's also going to create the kind of reality that we have never seen before, not even from the movies. So the movies has this idea that the world going to be invaded by the aliens and all the stuff that is really bad. But the thing is that this is created from human perspective. The people who created such a narrative, whether they are creatively get the idea, want to share their own idea, or they essentially channel the idea that someone else have shared in the quantum, and that shared idea is actually can come from a really different race than a human, or maybe like some other things and all that stuff. So it's very complex idea about what this reality is going to be, where are we going to, and all that stuff. And I'm like, this is something that no one can actually predict, even the alien itself. The alien has come up with some kind of, what do you call it, an insight, a prediction from something, and some kind of like written prediction that the guardian of the universe have come up with, have perceived, and all that stuff. That can also change. So there are so many other momentum in life that can change the trajectory of this reality altogether. But the majority of it is coming from us, the human. But when we think about the reality that we own, it sometimes holds that fear that I already shared, which is like in the movies, there is some fear of alien invasion. There is some fear of something that we may not know what exactly they are. And the unknown is actually scared us the most. And that essentially working with the idea that we don't have the system to eventually somewhat intervene that idea. This is like something that I have thought when I started my work, is that this world is created by humans, and the idea, the belief that support the system that we currently live is something that can only be changed by the human itself. So if I want to help create the world that I know, that I already embody, eventually I need to know how to work with humans who have this really distinct idea about what this reality is. Now, the settings of this person that is really different than mine is hard to get into at the first time. And I know that because I have lived my life bumping into other people's bubble, and I had a hard time just understand why they are like that. Just understand, just like see from the far. I don't know why you actually believe that. I don't know why you actually experience that. I don't know why you have this result and all that stuff. So I essentially succumb myself. I go lower in this reality to eventually have the ability to be sympathized, to sympathize with other people, to empathize with other people, to become compassionate, to be kind with other people's idea that is so different that it's just sometimes make the unreasonable reasonable, and the flexibility that always threw me off because they are playing with fear. They're playing with limited belief. And I'm like, okay, we can work with that. Either this is their true version of themselves, is their authentic version of themselves that need to come up, and therefore I need to be able to understand, help, alchemize in some way that this person can hold whatever they believe, and I don't need to follow or participate in their belief and all this stuff, or if I want to participate in it. So that differentness is something that I am actually working with, and that's why, like, the more people who actually still play in fear has this pull, has this gravitation about just move it this way. And we are unable to create the reality that holds all of us together because the person here have this standard and all that stuff. They're very stern, that know what they want to do. But also this person here have a really different idea about what this person holds. And this idea is what create this reality. The differentness that we all have, hold, shared, experience. This is what makes this reality real. But the thing is that there are more good things in life, that the fear is no longer can participate in the grand scale like it used to. Because now we have these tools, we have this support, we have this connection that people can share about what their experience and what they want in life. And that changed everything, the internet. But then something that has not changed a lot is actually fear. The way we use fear is something that still holds a very powerful force in our life. And if more people know how to eventually work it out, not essentially diminish, because that doesn't make sense. It's not real to eradicate fear. Fear is a force of recognition, risk, and possibility. There is still need of that exists in this world. But to transform fear into risk and possibility and capability and all that stuff, actually a lot harder than you think. I actually went through this phase of 20 years because of that. Because I myself don't hold fear in such a degree, but because everyone around me hold the fear in such a, like, almost admire it. And I'm always bystander who confused why are these people playing with fear in such a degree that they are like, oh, we cannot go over the limit. We cannot go over this. We cannot go over that. There is rules. There is this. And I'm like, oh my God, just shut up. And I cannot hold that. And that's why, like, I always like you shut it down and rejecting all the idea that eventually this is not working. Rejecting is not working. making it absolutely non-existent isn't something that can never be happen in this reality. So I eventually went through and all of these trials to finally figure out that fear is a genuinely good force in this life. You know how to work it out. And if more people can know how to work with fear, then we are going to have a really solid foundation of what this reality is going to be. But then, how are you going with fear? How is your relationship with fear? Are you still like dragging yourself to follow, to be feared about the things that you know and all that stuff? Have you noticed that fear is not there for you to stop, for you to like, okay, it's done. I don't need to actually go for it and all that stuff. Like, how is your relationship with fear? Because it's just like any other force, like happiness, like authority, any power you know out there. Fear is not something that need to be detached from a reality. It's not something to be rejected. It is a reality where everything is coming up to that. Now, everyone out there has talked about the fifth dimension, all these higher realities, all this higher dimension that they can tap into. But what I see is that this reality is not based on only the good things. The reality that we are in is such a dimension that holds all different possibilities. The range that we exist in here is actually really huge, from the really negative to the really positive one. And we need to be the race that can hold all of it all at once. And that's why human is so great, because of that. But because we have learned that fifth dimension only holds the good things, when actually it's not. It is not only hold the good things, but they choose to go with the good things. They choose to follow the positive frequency. And that's how they created their own existence. But in here, it's different. We need to be able to hold a different phases of frequency that eventually help us ascend in the next level as a society. And that's not for all of us. That's the problem. Only some of you can hold this much of range. And I'm grateful that I'm one of those people. But there are also people who only hold such a range. So this is very different. That's why like there are the bridge people, there is a lower victim people, there is only the royal people. It's different for everyone. Sometimes they are only live this life to experience such a extreme reality. And that's why like not all of you is going to live a good life because of that. Because the reason you are here is not for that. So that's also like the destiny part, the fate that you choose, the mission that you are here for, purpose of you here. The frequency that you're holding is very different for all of us. And now this is going to be really different. We don't know where we're going yet because of that. Because of the fear that we hold, because of the frequency, because of the mission, the purging that is still happening. And until we end the purging session, the purging phase of this reality, then we are going to merge into this middle point where we can start to choose just one timeline. And I feel like more people have said the prophecies. Oh, that's the word. The alien already have the prophecies of what the overall universe is going to be, and they're following that. And I heard about it from someone, I think like from Elizabeth or from Lori, the two people that I follow as my spiritual mentor. And I think it's the mix of their ideas, and they said something along, the alien already have the agenda to help us ascend, that also help them ascend to the next level. Now, it's already playing out as this prophecy said, right? Is prophecy about, and we are just following the trace of what that really is. But then again, there also a possibility that it's going to be straight away from the prophecy itself, and the majority of that is because of humans haven't choose the path that they want to walk, that they want to experience. So, how is your connection with fear? If you're still in these two modalities that humans know, which is fight and flight, fight or flight, that is not the thing that you want to do. Staying or fight, flight, or freeze. Yeah, there's three. There's three things that people know: fight, flight, or freeze. And that's also not the good way to actually work with fear. There is a buffer that happened before you eventually choose something to do with fear. And that buffer is actually the system that you strengthen. How do you actually strengthen your buffer to eventually know, okay, this is the right way to do it, this is not the right way to do it, this is we almost there but not yet to do it, okay, this is the time to do it. Now that buffer is actually really something that can help you make a better decision when you are in front of fear, whatever that fear is. So again, what is your relationship with fear? How is it? Think about it. Thank you for watching.